I'm really excited about this new segment that we've been doing anyway, but it sounds like we're gonna do more of weather chat,
Weather chat.
weather on the nines.
Ooh, I like it. Are you iced in, Doug?
There was like 2 feet of snow. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't want to like.
No.
We're gonna wait for Peter to introduce the video.
Peter.
Yeah, 2 feet of snow. Dylan, did you have anything on the?
We had snow than ice, and it's still, our roads are iced. So
yeah, lots of accidents.
Yeah, hopefully there was few people who went out for during this. I mean, ice. It's
People
so nice not to say that.
Making some claims.
Ooh, want to talk about ice claims? That'll be fun.
I love a good claims event.
Yeah, I'm good.
In insurance? No. Dylan, you wouldn't have a job without claims.
That's okay. That's okay. And listen, really? I do a lot more than claims now, Doug. You know that, so it's okay. I'm not.
It's your bread and butter.
About it.
You're the god of claims and thunder.
Yeah. And There's no claims. Did you see that LinkedIn? Who is it? Matthew from over at Reserve dropped a AI picture. He altered the one that you did, Doug. Or actually, Peter, did you do that? Okay,
I did already.
Yeah, and then he made me into Thor. That was very flattering. So nice. Thanks, guys.
Well, did you cause this weather at Peter's beach house?
I don't know. Let me see it, and then I'll see if I can claim it or not.
I'm gonna see it. I'll try have my go at sharing it.
We are gonna bring an insured.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
Is that a tsunami? Spain. Oh, here we go.
So is that typically a beach?
Yes, typically a beach.
And completely flooded out.
Interesting. Peter, you're living the good life there. I don't know what the hell we're doing
close
wrong
to the sea. Yeah.
We're in
exceptionally close to the sea.
The middle of rural suburban areas, snowed in. Peter's just sitting on a beach drinking Spanish rum.
Well, because of the snow and ice, 3 days ago, I booked a trip to Spain. So I am coming to Spain later in the year.
Oh, you have to let me know.
All right,
guys, we're going to bring on a guest that does a lot of traveling.
Ooh, yeah.
A lot. In fact, he just got back from a ski trip where he broke his leg.
Are you serious?
We're going to hear more about that. Maybe broken. I don't know. He texted me. I didn't follow up with him. I had a lot of stuff going on. So it sounded like he
that's a jerk move from a friend, Doug.
He texted him from the emergency room, and he's
like, it sounds like you got this covered. I can't drive.
Yeah. What am I going to do? He's where he needs to be.
Why to England? Help the guy out. Come on.
Yeah.
Be a friend.
Right. Listen, this guy doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give one anyway because I like doing this to him. So a couple big things. I did do a little research on him.
Wow.
Do you guys, Peter, you might not know about this. In the US, we have this set of commercials, and it's just come back into play. The most interesting man in the world. It's like Modelo beer.
No, it's a Dos Equis.
Dos Equis, yeah, sorry. We are.
Dos Equis.
We're not getting sponsorship from Dos Equis.
Damn it.
So anyway, most interesting man in the world. Great commercials. You check it out on YouTube. This is what I think of our guest sometimes when I hear about what he has going on. So just a couple things about him. He's a boxer. He's an actor. He's now a podcast host after seeing the success of our podcast.
That's not the order of the operations here.
Yeah. He only started like 7 years before.
But I think we've been talking about this for a while, and he really decided to make a go of it because
to jump in front of us. Yeah, I get it.
He does have an actual job. He runs a very successful search firm for the InsurTech space. That's why we're bringing him on. We're going to talk about why you as an MGA founder are nuts if you try to do hiring without this guy. And we have some good stories to share there. He's a co-founder on multiple levels. He co-founded We Are InsurTech Women. He co-founded a scooter tour operation for any InsurTech city, insurance city. He'll go around and do tours. He's also my co-founder at our exclusive InsurTech golf events. He's an angel investor. very, very happy to have him on our cap table, and his investment has appreciated quite a bit. Thank you very much. Guys, let's bring this guy on. We're going to bring on Mr. Alex Bond from FinPro. Look at that.
Hello.
Look at
Hello.
him.
Hello. I should have chosen a better background. I'm used to having my fancy virtual background up, and I suddenly realized that this is just my living room. So
listen, you don't want to go too high end with us because it just makes us look like a bunch of idiots. So
Alex, I want to jump straight into the skiing accident, but two things to add to Doug's background that I thought he missed that deserve mention. I understand previous ultra marathoner and Charlton Athletic fan.
Well, I was going to say Hotspurs fan. I forgot about that.
No, do not say that. No. Well, yes, ultramarathon. Yes, I've had a couple of ultras, and in fact, I've signed up for one in September. So, but to conclude the skiing, I actually got back from hospital about 2 hours ago. I have broken my leg, so I've broken my I've broken my fibula, which is good. And it's gonna take 4 weeks to mend, so just in time for Miami. So don't worry. We're all
perfect.
Alex,
it's okay. I can exclusive Miami boat trip. Boat trip.
Alex, if you want to hop on my back and like little, I give you a piggyback ride down the pier, and I can get you on the boat. It's gonna be fine.
I'd love that. That'd be great. I mean, I'm not having a great week, chaps, because I was scheduled for surgery tomorrow anyway. So I've got hernia surgery tomorrow, and then not wanting to bring the mood down, but it's my granddad's funeral on Friday. So
oh man. Wow, now I feel really shitty when he texted me. I was like, busy, mate. Sorry.
And that is how Doug treats his friends and investors, everybody.
Really kick them while they're down.
Not only am I a good friend, I'm an investor in his business, and he's too busy for me. So
we're well familiar with how Doug treats people.
It's an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been a long time coming. Alex, you were a guest on our Vaulted episode, the one that
the forbidden episode.
Which we are going to try and redo in Ohio. But listen, like, this is going to be a fun conversation because typically we try to have MGAs on, but I think it's important to think about talent building. We've had a couple conversations with MGAs where they've talked about how difficult it can be, especially if they're more technology orientated, right? They're not from the insurance space, and like, we just had a really hard time finding that first insurance hire. I was like, you moron, like you should have gone and found somebody that specializes in this and brings that talent to the table, already has the network ready to go, saves you a bunch of time. And so that's at a high level what we're going to chat about. But why don't we get the quick background on you and FinPro and what you built?
Yeah, thanks. So I mean, I used to work in the insurance industry, as I know that you guys know, and I've been doing insurance search for 20 years, which is a terrifying thing to think about. Think of all the things I could have done with my life. Never mind. No, and 5 years ago, I kind of launched FinPro as we know it today. So I set up my first business, search business, 10 years ago. I worked for other firms for 10 years before that. And then I started to I'd run out of enthusiasm for insurance search, really. I always have this Jerry Maguire moment that I talk about where I did 4 searches for exactly the same role. So it's head of offshore energy underwriting, really good business. Financially, it was a brilliant year. But if you took the logo away, I couldn't tell you what was different about these roles. And obviously, I was talking to a finite bunch of people. There's probably only 40 people globally that could do this role. And if you took the logo away, I couldn't distinguish the difference. So I'm sort of pitching 4th time round going, I know I said that was the best job on the planet in offshore energy underwriting, but no, this one is now. And it became really disingenuous. So I sort of had this moment where I just crossed out all of my client base and said, I'm going to dive into this world of InsurTech. And that was kind of probably nearly 6 years ago now. And I think where I came to the table was that I was able to bring that insurance knowledge and I was interested enough around the tech that's what I was bringing to the table. And similarly, that's kind of the candidate base I was bringing to the table. So it was quite a lot of SaaS businesses at the time. I think when InsurTech, 1.0 was out, it was all about distribution platforms and technology plays to kind of help that. And usually there were tech founders missing that insurance hire. So I was doing a lot of that. So a lot of product, a lot of go-to-market. But I think today, FinPro, we've grown. Every year has been our record year. Last year was our record year. We're 5 strong. We've just hired someone else. If I could find 2-3 more good recruiters, I probably would. We focus most of our time in the US. We're about 70% US led, and we work with InsurTechs of all sizes and scales. So our biggest client is the Series D, but then we've done things as early as kind of co-founders that we found for people. But most of our clients are venture-backed startups and scale-ups, anything from niche SaaS plays into the insurance space all the way through to kind of big digital insurance plays. And we tend to focus on the senior end of that. So we are a retained search model. You do have to pay us up front. That is how we work. And no, I'm not going to negotiate with you about it. Go talk to someone else. And happy to talk about why I do that. But no, we're very happy to be part of this community. And as you say, we invest in our podcast and we try and give as much back as we can because this community has been really good to me.
Alex, quick segue in the InsurTech world. Top predictions for InsurTech in 2026. Have you got any?
We'll hear about AI a boring amount for more of it. No, I think AI is getting really practical. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that evolution, but in real kind of applicable, useful steps. So I think like BPO, AI, that meeting of the minds. We had Pace on my podcast recently. They're guys that I want to watch. The claims is a key part of my heart. I used to be a claims guy. I did claims recruiting exclusively for like 10 years. So I think there's going to be much, much more done there. And then there seems to be sort of geographic interest is kind of interesting, like a lot more kind of interest in Africa from a InsurTech play perspective. And I think these new markets, now things like AI have made it so that theoretically you could probably build a one-man MGA now in a way that you couldn't have done it before. Tech platforms like yourself, Peter, like Laura, makes it more democratic in how you can build an insurance product. That means the kind of unit economics makes sense for kind of different types of insurance. So we're going to see like a lot more micro insurance and those sorts of plays. So yeah, that's what I see or am seeing at the moment.
It is. I do shit on AI a lot. It's mostly just because of all the hype. It's so annoying sometimes seeing this stuff. That said, I mean, even I've had a come to Jesus moment with like our investors. We're like, you guys are doing a lot of AI things. Can you stop shitting on it so much on LinkedIn and maybe like talk about the stuff that you're doing because it's real? I'm like, fair enough. Can I still shit on the things that are complete vaporware there? They're like, fine, let's split difference here.
Yeah.
I also want to be clear that Doug's used the word co-work 3 seconds before we hit record today. So.
We are having co-work do just a ton of stuff for us. That again,
I was going to say, he just sold me on AI for Age of the MGA for like 15 minutes. Believing all the hype.
I think the thing is, Doug and I are sort of fine friends, and I think one of our things that joins us at the hip is we just like shitting on things occasionally, which is with no real basis in reality. I think we just like to get grumpy about things like grumpy old men, and AI is just the one that's catching the fire at the moment, I think.
Yeah, we'll pick a target, and I mean the people bring it on themselves. It's just it's their own fault. So.
I think the only thing that I get disappointed about on these things is I was at a conference. I was at the ITC London conference for the last 2 days with my broken leg, which I didn't realize was broken, and just walking around going, this is more painful than I was expecting, which is quite funny. But there was a couple of AI driven businesses and they were so clearly just like skins over like ChatGPT, and I was going, guys, couldn't you just got a graphic designer to at least make me think it was not what I think it is?
Right.
And I asked them up front, but actually, in fairness, one of them went, we use whatever model works at the time, and it was a kind of bespoking, and they sort of approached it like saying that it's the building blocks of building a business like this. And actually, almost someone going, oh, we've got this full proprietary AI engine, and went, well, is it going to be as good as this squillion dollar invested, LLM that's being developed constantly. And I think they raised an interesting point, but I did think, I was like, yeah, you could still get your designer to make this look like something it isn't.
Maybe get rid of the end dashes.
I guess it's, sorry, Dana, I was just say, I guess it's like, when you use like a Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word or something, it's the content that matters, but you're of course going to use that as a base to create the substance. Like it'd be ridiculous to then create that base yourself.
Because it's a bit like the build versus buy debate, right? So people, we all sit there and go, oh, it's crazy to build your own stuff, and it's well, and then we, we're being rude on people building businesses on top of these LLMs. That's kind of the purpose of them, I understand, but I think there's something in I think what makes most people nervous in a regulated environment, isn't it? It's like it's a regulated environment. Can you put that information on there? Who owns the data? I mean, I got approached by someone to test, quote unquote, their recruitment sourcing tool, which was built on ChatGPT. It was actually really good. It does a lot of you can be really, I want someone who's worked at a startup, InsurTech, and you can be very direct with it, and it will find you really, really good talent, but then they own the data. And I'm like, well, I'm a really niche InsurTech specific recruiter. So you get me to use this for 6 months, you probably don't need me anymore. And I'll be honest, that's a bad business move for me, no matter how free this software currently is for me to use. So ownership of data, regulated environments just makes me nervous around that stuff. So I think we are right to shit on it in some degree, but
we just need a good washing out. The problem is, once the washing out happens, I'll have nothing to shit on anymore, and we'll have to find something else, Alex. Which I'm sure we'll do. We'll
that's fine.
All right. Listen, I want to get into your talent building at an early stage MGA. Obviously, the point of the show, surprisingly, there is a point, is trying to get your people comfortable with maybe making a transition from their corporate role. Dylan, actually, I had a thought on something you said last week. I'm gonna push it off to later, but just remember something about who should be making those transitions. I thought a lot about over the weekend. But Alex, like early on, right? Somebody coming in and trying to build an MGA, whether they're from our space or not, and trying to figure out those kind of key hires, like what's going to make or break your business. I got my check. I got my seed check, $4 million. I got my potential for capacity. I got an LOI from capacity and a front. I got my tech team, whatever you've kind of put together so far. Now, what should I do? I got maybe 18, 24 months of runway. I'm looking for that first big insurance hire. Should I spend 6 months sourcing that on my own, or and I'm leading the question here, or should I go work with a FinPro, maybe pay 30 or 40K, but increase my odds of success substantially? Like which is the right option there?
Yeah, that cheap, eh?
No. UK rolls.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're not a million miles off. I think you've nailed it on the head right there. Every founder is different. I look at my business, like what am I good at and what am I bad at? So I'm good at building brand. I'm good at conferences, and I'm pretty good at like business development. Operationally, I suck so hard. I'm the worst people manager known to man. So having an operator in my business is probably the key hire that's going to make me grow. And I think it's through that lens, every MGA is if you're a tech founder, you need your insurance person. And there are a lot of tech founders who don't think they do. Oh, insurance is really simple. Yeah, it is. And the language is complex. The ecosystem is rigid against outsiders. Navigating your way, you can know everything about insurance. Do you know how to get state filings done with some of the more complex states in the US? So firstly, it's about kind of being honest about where your gaps are. If it is that insurance hire, and let's assume it is, because even if you're an insurance founder, we're working with an InsurTech at the moment, which has an MGA play attached to an adjacent part of the business. It's a more broader financial services, and they're building an MGA but underneath it. But the product isn't complicated. So they don't need like an underwriter, but they need an operator. They need someone who knows how to set up a claims operation, knows how to deal with TPAs, knows how to kind of, run an insurance operation. So that's their gap. So first, it's about really defining where you're missing. Your investors will probably help you there. They'll probably say, look, this is where we think that you need support. And then, going out and getting your own person. If you've got the network, great. I'd always encourage people to start with their network. Like, I've just hired a guy called Dan last year. Dan's someone I've known and I worked with. I know what he's good at, what he's bad at, and it's a great hire for us. But what people don't realize is that I use recruitment firms all the time to find talent for my business, because their network is good recruiters. My network is great people in InsurTech startup environments. And that's probably the differentiator. So the mistakes that I see most people make is that they have a network because they've either come from the industry or they're focusing on a niche within that business. And so they go, right, we've set up a homeowners MGA program with some tech. They go and find some big marquee hire from that space in the insurance world. That person's never worked at a startup. They don't know what to do as much as the next person. Yeah, they know the insurance, they know the landscape. Have they got a product stood up in 52 states in the US? Probably not. So really, if you don't have that type of profile in your network, that's where a recruiter comes in, is to say, right, has this person got startup experience? Do they have exposure? Have they got experience of doing this before? And that's what you're paying for. You're paying to get it right quicker. You're paying to get it right first time. And that means you start delivering that kind of return on investment faster. That's why I would do it. And I can talk about more common mistakes, which is what I see, which is basically people being really, really cheap. And they're going, oh, we didn't find this person for a recruiter, so we didn't pay for them. They don't want a lot of money. And there's two things that happens there. One, quite often it doesn't go very well. Or you've put in a person that's probably not strong enough, and then you set that as your bar of quality. And the classic thing is that person becomes quite a senior person within your business. And what I see all the time, and off camera, I can tell you a few examples where this happens. You struggle to attract talent into that business because people don't want to work for this person, or this person is very will not want more senior, more experienced, more talented people to come work for them. So they become this huge incumbent on your success, and they really block progress. And so it's much more than just the cost of the hire. It's like, what does that person mean to your business if you get it wrong? Because you haven't got that much runway to figure it out.
That's the thing. Like, you have a very, very small margin for error. And so what do you want to be spending your money on to see a return very quickly? By the way, you brought up 52 states. Are you assuming that Greenland and Canada are becoming part of the US?
I was so close to making the same joke as well.
I've done 2 podcasts back to back where I've decided there's 52 states. I literally did this yesterday as well. I don't know what's happened.
Trump must be, sending something out in the UK airwaves to try and get you all on board.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Changes from one day to the next.
It does. Every day there is a new state of America. Or America. If we could have said correctly.
Alex, when you're in Miami with me, you're going to feel the full America action.
Oh my God!
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Jesus.
There'll be a little Cuban twist on that because of our host, but yes, it'll be a good time.
This is.
I'll say this side.
I was just floating this past someone that I'm dating, saying, "Oh, where are you going to Miami?" I'm going on a Cuban lawyer's yacht in Miami. And she was like, "Oh, that sounds legit." There's no problems with that whatsoever. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, we probably will not be sharing any. We should do a live podcast from the boat.
No. I'll wear my Stars and Stripes board shorts with my 52 states on there.
Sounds good.
Alex, I want to get into, so you're willing to share maybe some common mistakes, and definitely, get that you can't share information. I'm happy to share some people that you shouldn't work with in the space if you need, but we can save that for another time. I do want to kicking this off. I made just a really bad hire on the for my MGA on our claims side. Just a total dud. Can't even I don't even remember his name. It was awful. This guy. But shit, that was you, Dylan. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, but I
It's the
think
19th time we've heard that joke.
I don't have many jokes, Peter.
Well, we've only
Also,
had
this is a
19
hiring
episodes, so-
podcast. I feel like it was maybe I blew my chance with all the other times.
Yeah.
Dylan is a rare example of it working out. You brought up a good point. If somebody's coming easily to you and you really don't have that network built up, are they the right person, for you to bring on to the startup? I don't think it's always the case. But yeah, curious on maybe just some like general things to look out for, and then also maybe what stage does it make sense for an MGA to start reaching out to you?
Yeah.
Obviously, they need to have some money. You're not doing this for free. Really strange that you want to get paid for what you're doing, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like maybe like top few mistakes you kind of see, other than hiring, just hiring too easily.
Yeah. If you've got a really good business idea, I would do it for equity, but yeah, not for free. That's for sure. I think you've got to start with kind of a reality check. I think that's what people do badly. It's like people fall in love with their businesses, and I'm the same. Like FinPro is not my baby, so you can fall in love with it, and you go, well, why wouldn't someone want to work here? But I think there's a real self-delusion that goes on about, oh, we're doing this amazing thing, it's changing the world, and I'll sit there with the founders telling me they're doing this kind of unique thing, and I'm thinking, well, I know 6 other businesses that are exactly the same as this in terms of how they pitch it. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't differentiating factors. So one thing is having a self-awareness about how unique is this opportunity and not falling in love with it. The classic example is getting salaries wrong, like compensation wrong in lieu of equity. Now, equity has a part to play, and you should want to do this for equity. Anyone looking for a role in the startup has to be realistic about compensation, but also it has to go the other way. If the market rate for a person that would fill this, head of insurance role, if they were coming from traditional insurance, if their market rate is 250 to 300,000 base salary, you can't go to market going, we want to pay someone 150. You just can't. It's a ridiculous thing to do, and it makes it look like you don't know what you're talking about. And also the difference at the end of the year with the person getting it right, if you pay them 200 rather than 150, then they don't stick with you. You get rid of them. You have to make decisions fast on people succeeding or failing. So I think getting compensation as fit for purpose as you can is really, really important. And you'd have to talk to people like me. You should talk to people that you would want to hire. What do they want to earn? And yes, there's some realism on both sides, but the sort of most crazy delusion I see is from the founder side, and they're pitching equity. But equity only really, really can be taken into the equation, obviously, when you exit. But when you're talking to people, the risk profile is either you've got really young people who don't have any children responsibilities, so they can take on more risk and take a big salary cut, or people later end of their career who probably kids have gone through college or paid off, homes paid for. So the big swathe in the middle, the peak of the career where most people are that you want to hire, equity is a nice to have. And so falling in love with that and getting the offering wrong is a key thing. I think
also the equity though often is worthless.
Equity
and that I'm seeing. We know we're at the top of a bubble right now because I'm seeing a lot of but our mission. I'm like, it is still an insurance company, guys. I don't think we're not getting people on the moon or Mars here. So settle down with the mission.
There's an MGA that you and I have talked about, Dirk, and I think you'll know what I mean. And it's just a lot of 996 and we're doing this. And I was like, you can't do 996 in insurance because no one else is on the other side who wants anything to do with you. Yeah. They've all gone home. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that culture piece is really important as well. Is like not falling in love with your business in a way that thinking it's kind of like this complete unique utopia of work. It's being honest with people because people don't leave when you're honest with them. So if your funding's tight, if you are going to need to work more hours than expected, if it is going to be difficult, if you are going to be under-resourced, if you tell people that on the way in, that's not going to make them leave. If you are disingenuous about that and you're like, oh, we've got this really sort of collaborative environment, and actually just you're a bunch of kind of mercenary arseholes. It's like, if you say, oh, we're a bunch of mercenary arseholes, but we're building $1 billion business, you'll attract the right people for you and that kind of journey. So being honest about culture. And then I think thirdly, I mean, look, I could go on forever, but I think thirdly, these are sort of 3 key things, is also just over-indexing the quality of the people that you have available to you. So, you know, when I made my first hire in FinPro, I didn't have a lot of money. And so I had to advertise, and I had to take, you know, what I could get. Now, I got super lucky and I got a brilliant, talented person come and join me. But if you've got some funding, and let's say you haven't got enough money to do that 200K salary and you've got to go 150, you might get lucky and you might find a superstar. The reality is you probably got your person that takes you from 0 to 1. But that person, it doesn't mean that person has to take you from 0 to 5. There may be someone you have to hire in above them. But what people do, and it's quite sweet, it's human nature, is people are very loyal and they'll go, yeah, but this is our person from 0 to 1. It's like, but if they're not the person to take you from 1 to 5, you need to reinvest in that person. So it may be that you go, right, we need a CRO, or we're ultimately going to need someone to drive revenue. We got this really good salesperson. They came in, they smashed their sales targets. But if they're not a sales leader, if they're not a true CRO or CCO, you have to hire above them. And otherwise they become that bottleneck that I talked about earlier. And I think I see that more than any, because I put out a sort of slightly facetious post, which I think if anyone's connected me on LinkedIn, you say I do this quite often. I went, just because you found, even if they're brilliant, just because you found a unicorn, I don't own a unicorn farm. So you've got that brilliant person who came for little money and they were just interested in the mission. That's rare. Well done, you. You don't get to keep winning jackpot every time. And then that makes your recruitment process really, really challenging. So don't fall in love with them, and also don't think they're repeatable. So either they're brilliant and you got lucky, or they're not as good as if you're being honest with yourself, and actually you'll have to hire above them. So that kind of falling in love with that early hire proposition, I think that's probably the growth challenge I see most people go through.
And I guess that goes along with the issues with hiring friends too, because there's more loyalty. What's your take on hiring friends?
Oh man, if I had some friends, I'd tell you, Dylan, but I haven't got any. So it's never been a problem because I fall out with everybody. No, I mean, joking aside, you got to be really careful. I think friends as co-founders is good. I think hiring friends can be quite difficult. I've not seen it go. Yeah,
the big thing is hiring if it's gonna be a friend, it needs to be a work friend, right? And because there are people who then transcend. You met them at work, they become friends, and then and those people, some of them make the jump when you change companies where you're still quite good friends with them and they're lifelong friends, you know?
Yeah.
And I think what ends up happening is, you know, if they're just a friend and you haven't had that work experience with them, I'd be afraid to hire them. Like you'd have to have a real understanding of the working relationship there. Because if you're hiring a work friend, you've maybe already butted heads and seen what happens once you butt heads. And I think that's an important part of it, is how do you deal with those friction points? And so with coworkers, you know, it's going to happen. You have to, and if you're not having any friction, there's probably a problem. There's a major underlying problem there. You're probably not doing anything really interesting, and that's a lot easier to do maybe also at a company that you don't have ownership in. But if you have ownership, you're the co-founder, founder. There's got to be friction. I mean, Doug and I have butted heads a few times, and like where he's like begging me, he's like, "Hey, can we please become an AI company? I just want to be an AI company so bad."
I think it's similar to that coming in. It's like there just has to be real clarity on roles, responsibilities, decision making, authority. And I've said this to my team, and it makes me sound like I think this makes me sound like an arsehole, but like I think this is also true. And I'm like, my business is a dictate the ship. You dress up as a democracy. It's my money. I make the decisions. Like, I bring the team into them. I want their insight. I've paid smart people to come and be smart in my business and add value to it. But I bear the brunt of the responsibilities of the decisions. And ultimately, I always say to my team, we have one client. It's me. And if I'm happy, because I'll go and defend you to all of our external clients. And I think the clarity around that makes it kind of easier for us to work as a business. And I think coming in, if you're hiring a friend, it's just being, because I was laughing, and then I suddenly realized I have just hired my sister. My sister works for me now, which is kind of worse. But the conversation we had coming in, I actually gave her a longer probation period than anybody, and I said, this is for both of us. Because as much as she's super smart, my sister's an incredibly talented, smart lady, and she's come in and she's doing brilliantly for us. But it's like, you might hate working with your brother, and we have to have that separation. With at work, I'm not your brother. At work, I'm your boss, and sometimes I can be a real dick, and I need to be allowed to do that. And sometimes I'm gonna, we've already had situations where she's made a mistake, and I've had to put her up on it. But we just had really clear lines. So we had this longer probation period. So I think it's just all about clarity, decision-making, whose roles and responsibilities, and then probably checking in on that more frequently than you might do with other members of staff. But I think it's a difficult thing to get right.
Yeah. Every time Alex has an open role, I put my hat into the ring, and I get denied. And at first I thought it was because we were friends. And Alex like, no, I just think you'd be shit at the job. So Alex, you have a funny story about, if you're willing to share, about your sister with you guys going on your holiday trip, and the butting of heads. And I think it's a good story, thinking about like how you allow, right, if you're bringing friends in or people you've known previously, kind of allowing that relationship in front of different people, right? Where you're like, no, I'm in charge here.
Yeah,
I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, this is about the journey down there, isn't it? Yeah. Right. So we every year, I make quite a big deal of Christmas at FinPro. So we tend to take the team away, and so we took them to Seville, Marrakesh, and Morocco. We did Brighton because we had an American colleague flying over, and she left before we went over, so we got stuck in Brighton, which is unfair. But this year, because my sister lives in Devon, so we went down to Cornwall. Really good time. We went to Paul Ainsworth No. 6, which is the best meal I've ever had for about 2 years. But yeah, on the drive down there, so I picked my sister up from Exeter. I've got my colleague Sophie's in the car as well. And my sister gets in the car, and I'm just following sat-nav. And my sister loves backseat driving, like loves it. So for some reason, my mum and my sister both share this, that they have a complete distrust for Google Maps. So she's going, oh no, you want to be going this way. And I stopped the car and said, right, I'm not your father, I'm not your husband. I'm going to follow this fucking map because I don't want to have a discussion at every corner and every turning about whether I'm going the right way or not. And that's over okay with you. Or you can get out now and I'll get you a train.
I've had to have that conversation with Dylan a couple of times. And Dylan just slapped me. He's like, no, we're gonna do it my way. So
yeah,
story
it's a good metaphor for, I think it is running a business, because it was just like, it's like, look, I have to make the decisions, and we're just going to have to go with that. Now, if I go wrong, I'm going to have to be humble enough to apologize. Thankfully, I didn't. I thought if she's right and I get stuck in loads of traffic, I'm just gonna see her looking at the back of my bald head. But thankfully, it was fine. Anyway, yeah, I think that sums it up.
Doug actually, while he was making a joke about us driving, I was driving one of the two company vehicles on a retreat back in the stable days, and we were going over, I think it was an 11,000 plus foot pass. And there's a huge snowstorm coming in, and he's like, no, let's just stay. I was like, I'm getting to Denver where I can then get out, because we're supposed to be leaving the next day. No. And he's all like, come on, what are you doing? Stop taking people away early. And I'm like, no. There's a blizzard coming, and there's an 11,000 plus foot pass. Let's get over it.
Dylan was much more risk averse. That's a good trip. Alex, I want to, you mentioned it in passing, but I think it's just to really crystallize, I think, how important some of the stuff that you do is, and it doesn't have to be just FinPro. Like there are, there's other secondary, like there's FinPro, and then there's a few others, right? That maybe if you're too busy, that they should go chat with. But just the concept of hiring a professional, right, to do this search for you. You hire professionals to do searches for you. You mentioned the operations role, right? And I remember because I found it very funny. You're like, yeah, I hired the search firm to find this role for me. It's like, yeah, search firm, hiring search firm. I like it.
Yeah. I think it's funny that people don't think we do, but it's like my network is, if I want to hire a BDR or an AE, or I wouldn't necessarily know how to do that either. But it's like, if I need a chief risk officer for an insurance business, great, can find you one of those. But I don't need that. So my network's not the same. So yeah, look, it's about speed. And the illusion of money. So I love it when people come to me and they're going, oh, we don't spend any money on recruitment. I'm like, not any. Like, how? And they went, oh, well, we found this person. And who found it? I was like, oh, our CEO found this person on LinkedIn. And when they interviewed 25 people, went, right, so you spent 25 hours in interview. So you probably spent a good 10 on LinkedIn messaging away. And you probably need to deliver 10x back to your investors. So I don't know what that number is, but it's probably quite a big number, I would imagine. That's a kind of working week times 10. So, I think what you're looking for is to get to the talent that you can't find. So you've got a network, but all of my job is to have a network. That's all I do every day. Why do I go to events? Why do I do a podcast? Why do I run things like We're InsurTech Women? It's constant exposure to our brand, which allows us to access talent that you can't get or don't know. Because, your job is to run your MGA. Your job is not to spend hours and hours and hours on LinkedIn or go for coffees every 5 minutes with people or go to every conference and network. But that is mine. So my network is better than yours and is bigger than yours. So I can get to talent you can't. Also, I can get to that talent quickly. The amount of times that we've seen clients going, oh, we're after X person. And I'm like, they're never joining your business. Like, I'll know them and I'll go, they're plugged in, they own 25% of that MGA. They don't need the money. Sometimes I find out some really kind of nebulous stuff around them as well about their personal life. It's just like the timing's wrong, etc. But they'll invest 10 hours of interview with this person who's just not stringing them along, is like looking for the idea of it. Because that's the other thing as well. You're also buying certainty. So in 5 years, nearly 6 years of running FinPro, every time we've been retained, so that's paid up front model, we have delivered 100% of the searches. So we've got to the right answer every single time. That has never failed. And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the certainty that you will find the right person for that job. So it's kind of access to talent you can't find, speed of doing it, and certainty of getting it right. The more kind of like higher involved part of what we do, and this is probably experience. This is, I've done this for 20 years. Some of the other firms that we're up against, and this is no fault of their own, they just haven't got tenure, but I had to pitch against a business the other day and they said, why should we choose them over you? And I said, because that person's been doing it for 5 years and I've been doing it for 20. And unfortunately, in a game where it's about who you know and who you've got access to, I have access to people that they don't. In 20 years' time, they'll have access to people that, their next competitor won't. It's we sometimes come to the table with an InsurTech and they go, we need this role. A real life example, someone wanted a sort of really high level senior distribution person. They wanted like chief distribution officer for one of the big carriers. And I was like, you don't need that. So they were looking at spending like 400K base. And I was like, you need a scrappy business development distribution person who's done this before. And we managed to secure that person for 235 base. So we saved them, huge amount of money because they were looking in the wrong place, but they didn't know that because they've not done this before. So when you're working with the kind of more experienced firms, and I'm going to give them a shout out because one of the people I respect the most, it does what I do, Jacob at Galicki Search, is really, really good. And he's from industry. He knows the industry. He also turns down work he can't do. If we lose to them, I'm usually not that bothered about it. There are people I lose to, I really throw my toys out the pram. And that's worth seeing. I'll send in a video. You can splice it in. But but like he knows his stuff, so he will be able to give you that feedback as well. So if you're sort of talking about the recruitment thing, it's like speed acts the talent. The real kind of consultancy part of what we do is sometimes sense checking. Are you even looking for the right hire, or have you got your hiring sequence right? You know, if you need to build your insurance product, well, you need your product person before you need your distribution person. And sometimes I say, oh, we've hired this great sales and distribution person. I'm like, great, we haven't got any products yet. So what are they distributing? So I know that's a really simplistic version of it, but yeah, the feedback on what you're hiring, when, how much you pay for it, where you're getting this talent from, that's why when you work in a retained way, that's what you're paying for. You're not just paying for me to find someone, you're paying for me to sense check that your whole hiring strategy is correct.
I think that's one of the challenges for early stage MGAs when you're hiring people, because the culture shift from a large insurance group to a small MGA, that if you're the type of role you mentioned there, like if you're chief distribution officer or something for like a Zurich or an AIG or something, your role is effectively delegation of that task, right? You've got a huge team of people that are doing the main work there. Whereas if you come to an MGA startup and there's 10 people in the entire company, guess what? You're the one doing a lot of the action, not only the strategy, not only the delegation. So it is very important that those roles translate. It's something we've seen firsthand. So one question I had for you is, obviously we've got a lot of people when they start an MGA, they do come from these senior roles and they're used to that environment they come into. What's your main advice for them, hiring or anything, when it comes to running a small entrepreneurial business compared to that huge beast that is corporate life?
I think first thing first is like it's hold firing on hiring as much as you can until you really know what you need. So you've got to get scrappy. You've got to be able to do it all on your own, I think. And if you're coming in and your starting point is we need 4 hires out the gate, I wonder whether you're in the right space or right mindset. So if it's you as the founder, it's like, get your hands dirty. I mean, you know, we've talked before. Doug built his own website for his MGA to start with, and I don't know if you ever did more than that, did you, Doug? I think you've always done a lot of the kind of your own design stuff. I did the same on my business. It's like you should learn how to do these things, even if they're not as good as they should be, just to kind of get that scrappy mentality, because then I think you should challenge every hire you think you need. Do I need this hire? Do I need it now? Is it something I can put off? Now, some of them you can't, and it sounds like I'm sort of talking my way out of some work. But I think you've really got to learn how difficult it really is to sort of roll up your sleeves and get kind of your hands dirty. Because I think if you don't do that, you're never going to assimilate to the sort of right environment. That's the founder version. The other version of this is you hire one of those senior people that's coming from those environments. Your job as a founder hiring someone like that should almost be to put that person off, going, this is going to be really hard. You will not have any support. You know, do not be under any illusion when I'm saying that you're going, yeah, but they'll hire me someone in a bit. It's like, I will not hire anybody for you. I would even say, I don't think you can do this. You're coming from the wrong culture. The people that have got the grit will fight you on it. And that'll be part of it. It's like, if they've got the grit to fight you on it, okay, they really, really want to do this. And what you can look for in this, what I look for, if they haven't done an entrepreneurial journey before, look for opportunities that are similar. So, for example, in InsurTech, do they go to InsurTech events because they're interested? You know, have they invested some time and effort into the space? Have they, have they served on any kind of mentoring schemes and opportunities? Do they have they stood up sort of internally new products? I hate the term intrapreneur, but I think it's the best one we've got. You know, have they stood up new products, projects? Do they put their hand up for new things? So you can kind of dig into the sort of related stuff without having to sort of say, oh, you haven't done it, therefore you're not relevant. Because sometimes you get these amazing people from these big insurance companies that they're desperate to do something like this. But I think, again, it comes back to that clarity. but you have to be so strong with it. You almost have to put yourself off, and the founders are the same. I think people romanticize about being a founder. We all know that it's not always that much fun, but the romanticism is there, and you have to be really honest with yourself and say, if I'm already going, oh, here's my first 4 hires, I'm probably not the right person for this.
This dovetails into something Dylan brought up on a recent show. Just we talk about the point of what we're doing, trying to get people interested and maybe taking that leap from corporate life and building their own MGA. Dylan, you brought up a good point. Sometimes you shouldn't be doing that, right? You should be thinking about staying where you are, because if you have that honest conversation with yourself, you're like, that doesn't sound fun.
It's hard.
Doug's 25 and he looks like he's 70. Like, Jesus. Don't want that to happen. So I see, though, maybe like a middle ground with, and Alex, you helping to kind of be the grease for that. So maybe that person isn't fit to be a founder, at least right now. Like for whatever reason, they want some support, or they want somebody else kind of in the hot seat, so to speak. There are plenty of roles, though, and you're helping find those roles for people that have funding. So it's not de-risked by any means, but it's much less risky than you just like going out on your own and trying to put capacity together and get an investor. Maybe they have the investor, maybe they have the capacity, and now they're looking for that first key insurance hire. I think that's it's not middle ground by any means, because it's still very risky, but I do see it as much less risky than just going out on your own. Do you see people do people reach out to you, I guess, and say, hey, like I'd like to put my hat in the ring for this. I'm interested. Or do you like go out and seek those people out, and maybe how do you identify, sorry about that. How do you identify those people?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, really. I mean, I think because, one of my things, we're doing this rebranding, and one of the things I said is quite unique about us, we're sort of a media first search firm. So like my job really is to be super loud in the space. So we do get these inbound inquiries about new opportunities. And then my job becomes getting a bit of realism with those people, because I think you're right. That is a really good middle ground. It's like, I love people that are really honest, going, I don't really want to go all out as a founder, but I want to join something like entrepreneurial, fast moving. But my job is then, and if they haven't done it, is to sort of be realistic with them about what that means. So, one of the crap things about working with startups as opposed to big insurance companies. So I've got lots of guys that are friends of mine that work in very traditional insurance search. And I cry when I hear how much they get paid, because it makes me very sad. I'll place a CEO of an InsurTech or a CRO or chief underwriting officer, and the money pales into insignificance. So one conversation you've got to have is there is a ceiling on compensation. Like if you're working for an early, and I'm saying Series A, Series A to B. Series A to B, they're going to get close-ish to similar money with the market in Series B. But at Series A, you rarely see salaries above like 250 on base, and there might be on variable. Now, that's still very good money, but if you're coming from a really storied insurance career, that's probably not a lot of money for you. And so you kind of have to go, right, this is the world you're walking into. And then again, it's like equity. People come to the table. I've had some amazing conversations with people going, yeah, I want like 10% of that business. And I'm like, yeah, so do I. and I'm as likely to get it as you are. It's like knowing what good equity looks like. Single digit, if you've got a point, that's a C-suite level offer. And you need to understand that. So there's a lot of kind of misunderstanding about people coming to space. What's achievable, what kind of progression looks like, what equity looks like, how equity is awarded, what even the contracts look like. So, we do some cross-border stuff. So you might get employed on you might have to use a sort of employment agency contract. So you, on paper, don't work for tourists, you work for, FinPro enterprises or something like that. And so there's a lot more kind of nuance to kind of taking these roles. And I think the challenge for me is to sort of go, right, get that person comfortable with it, make them understand. And then if they still want to kind of explore that world, then yeah, we're always happy to do that. But most of the time, my role is educating what options are, what true equity looks like, what a good equity offer is, what's realistic in compensation. And I'm doing that both sides. I'm also playing both sides. I'm pushing my client to be as generous as they can, and I'm usually pushing the candidate to be as generous as they can down the other way. And that's really where the big stumbling block comes.
Alex, I was reading. You hear it all over the place, but there's different versions of the hire fast, fire fast. There's, kind of some reverse orders. Some people put the slow on one versus the other. What's your thought on hiring speed and firing speed?
I think hire as slow as you is reasonable. Take your time. But one of my big bugbears is that you have to set out the stall of what the process is going to be at the start. So if you want to hire slowly, maybe you have a 4-stage process. So first call is you pitching the business to them. Second call is getting to really know them and them almost pitching a bit to you. Third might be a case study. Fourth might be meet the team. I don't know. That's just say that it is. You can't then add more on because you can't make a decision. So I'm not talking about dragging it out, but slow enough that you see enough talent. So, for example, someone like me, any search takes roughly 60 to 90 days. It just does, from start to finish, doing a kind of comprehensive search, interview process, offer acceptance. That's just takes that long. So slow enough for it to be sensible, but then, fire faster than you ever thought possible. Like, just, if you see things that aren't right, it's like a relationship. It's like a relationship. If that person doesn't communicate in a way that works for you as a partner going forward, it's never going to change. Like, that isn't changing. And you don't want to be in couples therapy in like month 3. And that's what people try and do when they hire people. They're like, oh, well, we'll turn it around. It's like, you won't. This isn't working. Fire as quick as possible, because it's not going to be good for either party. But I think the thing is, in startups, the reason why I'm like, hire as slow as sensible, fire as fast as possible, is that you haven't got time to get it wrong. And that you can do that in a Zurich Global Corporate. You can do that at Travelers. You can hold people with you that you're kind of going, well, maybe they'll get better. But also, people don't get better at the things they're bad at. That's a misnomer about training. You train on the things that you're good at to be even better at them. You don't spend loads of time trying to invest in someone that's kind of just, not right. So if you spot things that aren't right, you have to be clear and you have to be honest, you have to be transparent and you have to be fair. But if you know it's not going to work, I think it's better for everyone that it ends as quick as possible.
Agreed. Yeah.
Peter,
That's what a lot of your girlfriends say. They're taking your advice. They're like, this guy.
Don't kick a guy when he's down. Broken leg, surgery tomorrow, dead granddad, and now you're like, you're a loser and you're single and you're 44.
That's
age of the MGA podcast appearance. It's just been a really bad week for you, Alex.
Yeah. To be honest, guys, this has been a bit of a highlight. I would say I can't believe I've been on it before, but I was on it before, as we know.
We just didn't publish it.
The podcast that can never see the light of day, otherwise none of us will have careers.
And Alex, while this one is going to air, and it has more swearing than any other one we've ever had before, probably combined, just to be clear. And that still is nothing compared to the unseen version that will never, the one that will never be aired. So
we were allowed to swear on this podcast.
We're allowed to
do whatever we want. It's okay. It's our
nobody
baby.
cares. Nobody listens to this.
I'm a working class guy from Essex. Swearing is a sign of affection. We use swearing as punctuation. That's who we are.
Oh goodness, Peter, you want to hit him with the question?
Yeah. So lots of great insight, Alex. I think we'll have to get perhaps another episode at some point to get even more into detail on some of this stuff, because it's such an important thing for MJs. So we always end this podcast, Alex, you've probably never seen it before, quite rightly, but with a legacy question, which is what do you want your legacy to be in your work life or your life in general?
I was going to say something that I thought was funny, and I was like, no, that's too close.
Please don't say whatever pops in your head, Alex.
yeah, no, it's so close. There was some reference to some people there. What do I want my legacy to be? I've been quite lucky because I've been going for this. We're going to have a rebranding of the business, and we're working with this brilliant brand organization called Komodo. And we had to have that brand day, and I've sometimes struggled to take these things seriously, and it's a bit like mission, and I'm like, oh god. But I really got into it and actually really enjoyed it, and said, like, the legacy that I want is that I don't see FinPro as anything other than a vehicle to get ideas on paper into the reality of a brilliant business. And so the legacy I want to leave behind is that we've helped on that journey of some really successful InsurTech businesses, because no one cheers harder from the sidelines than me for businesses that we work with that go on to do great things. So the legacy is if I could have a acknowledged tiny part to play in some really, really successful and worthwhile businesses, then that's a pretty good legacy to leave behind, I think.
Excellent. And Alex, I'm really excited about the rebrand to FinPro.ai. Very exciting.
We are actually.
Sorry, was that not supposed to tell everybody? Okay.
No, on that note, we did. So we one of the things we're launching. We're always going to have the search business, but the thing we get asked for all the time is like high volume number of like AEs and like sales business development people, and we're not really set up for that. But we are building a sort of sister brand that will do exactly that. And so, FinPro is actually FinPro Search Partners. That's the actual name of the business. So we're going to have the traditional search business, but we are going to build something which is like higher volume, faster speed. We won't ask for retainers because every role will be the same. So it'll be like, we will just have the best bench of talent in that sector, go-to-market talent in the world. That's what we're aiming to do. And we needed a FinPro something, and FinPro AI was chucked around for ages. And I was like, but it's not going to be AI, is it? It's going to be us doing it still. We are actually going to use an AI tool, so we could get away with it. But I can exclusively reveal that it's going to be called FinPro Labs. So there we go.
I love it.
FinPro Scale Labs. I've messed it up. Oh, no. Scale Labs. Sorry, there we go.
Well, listen, you'll have more AI than most AI companies that are raising $25 million rounds right now. So good on you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey,
thanks very much, Alex.
It was very good having you on. Yeah. Can't wait to see you in person. Buy your tickets for Arizona. That's very important.
And Miami.
Ready to go to Miami. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, gents. Lovely to see you. Take care.
Bye. Best, Alex. Bye.
Feel better.
Bye.
Oh man, fun. Good conversation. Good friend. Nice to have him on and talk about really important stuff, I think, from a talent perspective, and not to shuttle the end of the show because he is just another person. Peter's got to go, so we have no ending commentary for Alex at all. We're just gonna cold open, cold close.
Cold close.
We're not gonna say he's the best guest we've had yet. So
yeah, he's complete shit.
On that bombshell, good night.
Bye.